overall, where the protest and the other things also taking place, the accountability is going to come forward because now people are more interested. So they are all watching. So social media is very strong. People are very strong.
At this moment, what kind of stocks that you think that you should be invested in?
So these are the positives that we'll be looking at to re-rate and go forward. So we are almost in that situation now.
Now we are moving to the $1 billion question. Mr. Imtiaz, are you still bullish in the stock market, and do you see the stock market reaching to about 15,000 index?
We're looking at minimum 2 billion rupees their turnover is going to go up. That means out of that, quite a big portion is going to be profits.
Welcome to MasterMind ROSHAN channel. In this channel, we share knowledge and experience in capital markets, entrepreneurship, and business opportunities. Today, we have the MD CEO of Almas Holdings, high net worth investor and veteran in stock market investing. He's none other than Mr. Imtiaz Buhardeen. Mr. Imtiaz, welcome to our show today.
Thank you, Roshan.
So let's start with a very interesting question. Mr. Imtiaz, can you tell us how do you start as an entrepreneur? How did it begin?
Yeah, it's a long journey, almost 40 years of experience. I started after my college. My father had a business already established. It was a group of companies. He was one of the pioneers into garment industry. So we had about 5-6 garment factories and it was mostly in outstations. And I started studying under him and learned a lot of experience in the garment trade and also into retail departmental stores. We were one of the pioneers to start in Aurelia, Kandy, Colombo. And then thereafter went into many different trades, like from tea to shipping, insurance, exports, many areas. So I had a very good experience from 1981 till about 96. I was there about 15 years, gained a lot of experience. And at that point, I went separately on my own. And so in 96, when I started Almas organization. Now it's called Almas Holdings. So this year, we'll be actually celebrating the 25th year of Almas. And in 99, I went out of the country. I went to Singapore. And I was one of the pioneers again to start used cars export business. So I was exporting to the Sri Lankan market, to South Africa, the Caribbean. And for about 8-9 years, that was my main business at that time. Thereafter, I moved into Johor Bahru in Malaysia and went into real estate. There also we started making investments. There also again something like the port city, they were starting the Iskandar development in Johor Bahru. So I was one of the pioneers at the beginning and took the chance and went and bought a lot of properties and went overseas and marketed. And still we are doing that business. It's almost now 16-17 years. We have a big clientele and a big portfolio of properties that we are managing. So during all this time, then I also the company here, we were doing into like tailoring uniforms and custom made clothing and all that. And also I've been always continuous to build up a portfolio. So that's my initial, the total experience.
Especially youngsters who are watching, I think this question might be very interesting and valuable for you. It seems just like what made you be interested to invest in the stock market, and around which age did you start to invest in the stock market?
Okay, I started quite early, around the age of 20. I was interested in the stock market. I used to follow the US market. I had some of my friends whose father were already investing in the stock market. So we used to talk, discuss, and got that interested for me. And from very early stage, from around around 1985, around that period, I started investing in a small way. And learned and had a long period of almost now 35 years of experience in stock market trading. Yeah.
We saw the US dollar versus the rupee going around 203. Now we are seeing around 350 figures. Most of the stock market investors and business individuals are wondering whether 500 is possible. I think, from my opinion, maybe 500 is possible. But on a very negative point of view, some analysis is predicting even 1,000. It can go even to 1,000. What is your view, Mr. Imtiaz? Can it hit 1,000?
Yeah, that's a bit, really a bearish note to go to 1,000, but we never know. It's very difficult to predict anything. At the moment, yeah, it's around 370, 380 rates that has gone up. Maybe a little more it can go, but according to the central bank governor, they are taking certain steps. They're going to IMF, and certain import restrictions have been all brought in. So they feel maybe another 2-3 months they'll be able to pull it back, and I think he has been targeted around 300 to 270 to 300 range. So I'm not sure whether it can go to 1,000, but until if it really certain things goes out of control and we are unable to manage, we never know. But I'm confident that since now we are gone to IMF, there will be more positives will be coming. Investments will start flowing in. So with that, we should be able to hold at least 350 range. Should be able to hold, I feel, in the long term. Yeah.
Now we are moving to the billion-dollar question. Mr. Imtiaz, are you still bullish in the stock market, and do you see the stock market reaching to about 15,000 index? What is your views?
Yeah, so basically, we want track to get there or even beyond, even close to 20,000 I was expecting. So end of January, we were almost at 13,500. And since then, a couple of incidents have taken place. Starting with the international markets were a little bit was volatile and it was coming down. So our market also came down. Then thereafter, the Ukraine war started. Then the oil prices started going up. So these were the initial problems were there, and the prices started falling. But then thereafter, the rupee was floated, and without proper planning, the float and the depreciation got bigger and bigger. So that made also things worse. Then a couple of other things also went beyond the market, further, like the Mariana incident happened, the protest, then the power cuts went up to 13 hours. For all these incidents, the market reacted very badly. 5-10% in a day. We had circuit breakers on many occasions, but almost 10 times during this last 100 days now. So these are the incidents that brought down the market, and we are almost from the peak about 45% down at the moment, and currently around 7,400 plus only. And then in between, we defaulted as a country. We defaulted on the international bonds. So that also went very badly. And then finally, we decided to go to IMF, and they are now at this moment. So I feel like all the bad news has been mostly factored in. And last 2 weeks, if you see the market, it has started to stabilize a bit. The drops are very much smaller, and it started to stabilize. And during this period, all the companies were still making good profits. So when January at the peak, it was the December quarter results were coming out, and that made a record profits. And now we are looking at March results are coming. The early signs of the results that are already come out are quite good, and I feel March results of all the companies going to be another record breaking. But going forward, there are certain other things also happen, like interest rates were increased one time for 7%, and depreciation has happened. There are expectations that the tax rates are going to go up. So even all these are already factored in at this moment. So only thing now we are waiting for some good news to come from the IMF. It might take another 2 months at least to know where we stand on that. The RFI is still not yet approved, so the government is hopeful at some point that they will come. And at this moment, they are depending on India, China, and hoping from Japan also to get some funding, about $3 billion. If these things comes, the market sentiments can improve. So at the moment, we have political issue also so the market sentiment is not good at the moment because a lot of protests are going on, the queues are there. So people are not satisfied with whatever is happening in the country. So because of that, I think market has really gone down almost, you can see, as a crash of 45%, which in my experience I have not seen so much within a short period to go down so much. But I feel it can bounce back, because if you look at the positive sides of it, now the repayments have been stopped, because that's one of the main reasons that we had the FX problem, exchange, because we are paying out all our currency, whatever reserves that we had paying out for the loans. So now after defaulting, it's not a good thing, but at least now we don't have to pay those. So, and the expectation is that we might go for a 30 to say 20 to 40 or 50% haircut on the loans. So we have over $50 billion. So if that happens, at least minimum $10 to $15 billion can be written off, and we don't have to pay the capital and interest for at least for about 5 years. So during that period, at the moment we used to pay about $4 to $5 billion from our reserves. So hopefully next 4-5 years we can rebuild our reserves and get back the tourism back on track. Exports were really doing well. They were doing over $1.5 billion they were doing. The foreign remittances, there was some problem because of the exchange rate. These things, the black market was higher, so people are still sending from outside the system. So with certain restrictions that are brought in, import, and some currency regulations that are brought in one recently, that might help to come back to the formal channel. So if those things happens, our currency reserves should slowly start building, and with some help from some friendly countries. These are the possibilities that we're looking, and especially with the IMF, going to IMF, there are a lot of reforms that have to take place. One is the fiscal side of it, taxes and all those increasing. On the other side, like government expenditures will have to be curtailed and brought down. And also SOEs, like state-owned enterprises, will have to be privatized. So there are a lot of opportunities in those areas are there. So looking overall, where the protest and the other things also taking place, the accountability is going to come forward, because now people are more interested. So they are all watching. So social media is very strong. People are very strong. So people have come out in one voice without party, region, nothing. They're all talking in one voice, so that the country, they are very much care about the country now. People who didn't bother about politics or economics before, they were minding their own business, but now they feel it's our stake, it's our country, we need to come forward. Likewise, the foreign people who are in the diaspora and the expats, that community is also watching, and they're also helping to come out of this problem. So if there's going to be a good political kind of a resolution comes from out of whatever the protest that they are requesting, I think there can be a massive change can come. Even the market can go up a few thousand points with whatever that expectations of the people if it happens. So that's one area. And then the diaspora also, like the expats, I'm sure they will start sending money in too, because at this moment we need to build our reserves. We have come down to almost $50 million. It's a shame to say, but we are in that situation. But as a country, I don't think so. We are bankrupt. We have enough assets. We had over $650 billion worth of assets before the depreciation. Because of this almost 70-80% depreciation, our values have come down to about $350 billion, but still a reasonably good value compared to the outstanding loans of 40-50 billion after the haircut probably. So I don't think so we are bankrupt. We don't have to be too much worried about on that side. We have been a very resilient country and the people. We have gone through many challenges before. From my experience, from I started business, I seen the 83 riots, 87, 88 JP, that period that we have gone through. Then we have seen the tsunami happening, almost 26-year war. Then we saw the Easter bombing. Recently, the COVID, we have gone through that one. And finally, we have come to the current situation in the country with the default. So with all the previous ones, I think we have come out of it. But this one is going to be the biggest challenge that I feel. And especially with people all coming forward together, I think the future looks better, because I don't think so in future there are going to be like more corruption or wastages. These things will put right. So I think country will be in the right footing going forward, especially with IMF. A lot of conditions are going to come, which will be difficult politically, but I think those things will have to be taken. So I'm very hopeful. I know we have gone through a bad 3.5 months with power cuts to queues and inconvenience that we are going through. But maybe it's a blessing in disguise, I feel. Because otherwise, if we had gone at the right time to IMF, we would have got another loan and we would have just patched up and gone for another 2-3 years. But this happening, I think the whole country is behind it. People are watching, right? And I'm hopeful now we'll be back on the right track. So hopefully with the market, yes, if there is a political, some solutions comes. Now today is Saturday, yesterday the president has said that cabinet is going to resign, prime minister going to resign. So I don't know what will be the outcome by Monday. So they say there's something going to happen. So that is the first hurdle, I think. So if there can be a unity government or a national government can be formed, and I think all the parties will have to get together. What my feeling is that we need at least a 10-year period or national government without any party politics. Now, if you see the parliament, last few days, 3 days, parliament was just utter waste of money and time. Yes. Nothing happened, just debating and passing a buck to this side and that side. So nothing came out of it. And again, we are hoping, we are waiting for the next date for the parliament to come. So I feel the politicians will have to get together, the professionals will have to come together, and the businessmen to the citizens all have to come together as one unit and try to come out of this problem. So if that happens, I think sky is the limit, because lots of countries will start looking our country, because after the IMF program, the credit ratings will start slowly going up. So we have hit the rock bottom. I think nothing more to go down from here. So the positives only can start coming in, saying that we are getting this amount from IMF, ratings going up. You can see the foreign investments even in the stock market. The last 2 years, we had about 50 billion rupees outflows. But with all these problems, the last 2 months, it has become positive. We had about middle of February, we had about 3.5 billion still outflow. But as at yesterday, it has come below 1 billion. That means about 2.5 billion has foreign investments have come into the stock market. Whereas if you had gone by the earlier average of 50 billion, that's about 4 billion a month. So now 4 months have been completed. It should have been around 16, 17 billion if you go by that. Whereas only 1 billion now outflow. That means about 15 billion we are saved without further going out. So I'm sure by end of this month, the outflow might become a positive. And foreigners, they look at opportunities. When there's a crisis, there's always an opportunity also arises. So foreigners are ready to come. So they're waiting a little more time for the IMF, some kind of a signal to come. And this is a very good time to come, because our currency has depreciated almost 70-80%. This is the best time to come and invest. And for our the 2 to 3 million expats who are living out of the country, I feel this is the right time to come back and to help the country and to improve, to bring back their money, I think. So I'm quite still positive. We had so many challenges before, but this challenge I'm looking at in a very positive way. Maybe it might take another 3 to 6 months finally to come out of it. But once that is done, I think a lot of foreign investments can start coming in. Before we used to get only about 600-700 million US dollars as FDIs, which is nothing. Because after finishing the war, we expected the country to boom. But last 10-15 years, nothing has happened since then. So hopefully this might be our last chance, and we'll have to make use of it. And I think all will be winners. So I think we have to be still positive and think that it's not kind of the end of the world or end of Sri Lanka. I know some people want to still leave the country. It's fair enough. But given another 1 year's time, I think country will be back on track.
That was a very good explanation, Mr. Imtiaz. Now the next question that most of the viewers and maybe myself is having, at this moment, what kind of stocks that you think that you should be invested in? And do you think that some of the stocks you could have, or an investor could have sold maybe in January? What is your view on that?
Yeah, so let me take some sectors. If you take the logistics and the transport sector, those companies have done very well. Profits have gone up 400-500%. If you take the plantations currently, the last month auctions, the prices have almost doubled from last year, from about 750 average. The low grown has gone up to about 1,500 plus. So even the March quarter will be reasonably good for plantation, but April has really gone up. Suddenly about 500-600 rupees has gone up. So if this trend continues because of the depreciation, I think prices are getting adjusted. If you take the plantation, say minimum they have like tea, if you take, it's about 3-4 million kilograms of tea they do. So if 500 rupees has gone up, you're looking at minimum 2 billion rupees, their turnover is going to go up. That means out of that, quite a big portion is going to be profits. So I know the yields have come down, but the RPCs which are listed have managed quite well. Their yields must be, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5% only maximum down, but compared to the small tea holders, must be 10-15% must have dropped because of the fertilizer issue and the cost, they couldn't manage it. So that's another sector I'm quite bullish that plantation is going to do. Then of course, because of the depreciation, the export sector is going to do well, the manufacturing and export. Then there are other certain sectors are there where they are in monopolized kind of a situation, or they can have market leaders. Like if you take the tile sector, the cement, the petrol, fuel or gas, cables, all these sectors, they can absorb, they can pass on the whatever the expenses, additional cost to the consumer, because there's no price control now that has been removed. So most of you would have seen in the last few months, many times the prices have gone up on all these items. So what these companies, they are quite big enough that they can pass on this, because there is a import restriction. People can't import, so they have no choice. They have to buy at whatever rates. Of course, the cost of living is going up, the cost of construction is going up, but no choice with this. Inflation is very high. The food inflation is over 50% now, and core inflation is more than 30%. So still, I feel the stock market is the right place, because why? Prices have come down about 50 to 70% in the most of the shares because of this last 3 months. Depreciation is, most of the companies are going to benefit mostly into the export side of it. So they'll be beneficial. So even if they are in imports, they'll pass on the cost to the consumers. So I feel the listed companies will be still in an advantageous position to make profits with interest rates going up or taxes going up. They'll be in a much better position. If you see the bull run we had 1.5 years ago, people in the streets or the normal business used to complain that, economy is not doing, but listed companies, quarter after quarter, they were making record profits. That's because they were in a better advantage position because of their size, or whatever they were in this thing. So I feel with whatever like interest rates and taxes going up, they'll still manage. So according to me, I think price wise we have come down a lot. Earnings will still, there will be some bumpy rides. I'm not going to say quite bullish and just say they are going to just do all are going to do. Certain sectors are going to do well. Some will have certain issues, definitely will have. Tourism will have to come back, because with this protest and all, that numbers have slowly started to come down in April. But I feel this that should settle soon. So long term, yes, tourism is another good area also that people can look at it. Of course, banks, there are some people saying again, there are some areas that they have to watch. Interest rates have gone up, but certain difficulties are there for the banks to survive in this thing. Yeah, of course, fixed deposit, you can get 15% in commercial banks. Go to finance companies, 20-25% they will offer, but you'll have to still pay a 20% tax on that. End of the day is still below your inflation, so your negative results you're going to get. The stock market price have come down 50-70%. In any other asset class, everything has gone up, from commodities, from currency to gold to any commodity you would have bought, all have gone up 100-200%. Only the share market, the companies have come down. So, but the companies are trading below the book value, and the whole market is below 5 to 6 times only. And earnings are still getting better. This March results is going to be better. You might end up with 4-5 times. So there are good companies with 2-3 times earnings. So it's eyes closed. There is nothing to worry about that. Companies which are trading at $2 earlier, after that the results have gone up very much more, which is now like, now they are just trading a fraction of that. So if it's still, it has to trade at the $2 at the currently, it's like you should be looking at like 800 rupees a share. So, but some companies are trading at 150. So that's the kind of opportunities are available. So people will realize because of the sentiments, they are not coming in, and because other factors also there, the like forced selling was happening, and every day when the markets were opened, 5-10% was going down. So people were a bit nervous. Now that is settling down a bit. I think new monies will start coming from foreign, for sure it's going to come. And market is, I'm sure the market will do well. In certain sectors, we'll have to be, you can't blindly buy anything just because 50-70% has come down. You have to see which companies has more liabilities and what kind of interest rates cost is going to go up, and what kind of a taxations is going to come. And so we have to do a lot of more research, right? Don't believe on some people just saying on rumors and just blindly do a calculation. One share was 100 and today is 30 rupees. So this should go back to 100. No, sometimes it might not go, but some shares might even go beyond 100 if they are in a more advantageous position. So you have to do a lot of homework, and if you do the right picks, I think market is going to give a very good return. And market is not for short term. You have to always take a long-term view, right? Because we have seen these markets many times up and down, right? If you see international markets also went all-time highs. Even if you take Nasdaq today, from November to currently, it has almost 25% come down. So market comes down and it bounces back. So it's a cycle. So now currently we are going come down, but now the only way is to go up with this inflation. I'm sure the market has to be re-rated. If you take the earlier at the boom time also, we went up to about 13-14 times only PE, right? Because that's because the earnings were coming good and it was keeping the PE low. But no, normal kind of now inflation very high, I feel the market has to be re-rated to about 20 times now. Because why? Because some earnings can come down. So when the earnings comes down, that means the price doesn't have to come down further because we already discounted everything. So if some earnings are down, the PE ratio will go up on those companies. So I feel at some point you will see there will be a rating or a valuation going to 15 to 20 times at least in this climate. Yeah.
There had been many stock market investors starting to invest mostly during the COVID time. And then we saw a huge bull run in the stock market. So like we think about 2 years experienced investors are there in the stock market. What is the message that you would like to give, Mr. Imtiaz? Because some are panicking, and as soon as market comes down, they sell their portfolio. Then when it goes up, they again buy. So what's the message that you would like to give the new stock market investors who join within maybe 2 to 3 years' time?
Yeah, as you said, right, a lot of new investors came to the market, a lot of young new investors. And last 2 years, they've seen only the bull market. They thought it's just like, one way. Whatever you buy, you can make profits. Unfortunately, from end of January, seen the decline, and it has been a sharp decline. No one expected this. I don't think anyone expected this kind of a thing. Of course, we knew the economy. Sometimes, our loans were there. We can't manage. We believed certain things like homegrown solutions, but ultimately that didn't happen. Maybe they expected some foreign countries to help, and that didn't materialize, or I don't know what happened. They kept it going like that, and then suddenly everything collapsed. So some people were just warning in different ways, like but not like for the stock market itself, because stock market was still anyway performing. And as I earlier mentioned, step by step there are certain incidents that happened. So it was going down very slowly at the beginning, and then sharply after a few things really happened. So the investors also got burnt, or they learnt this lesson in a very expensive way now. Some didn't realize profits. Some maybe would have bought on margins, and they also got into trouble. So it's overall, I think it's a good experience for everyone, right? So now I think going forward, they'll be more careful. You have to be with your margins. You have to take a long-term view. So if you have a long-term view and come, you have to understand there are cycles. But it's if you take a 5-year, 10-year horizon and see, definitely it will give a good return. Stock market is going to give a return. I'm sure now when the earlier bull market was not a very, easy bull run. We had so many bumps, right? It was going up, and we felt market came down in so many incidents. Even that was not that big, but still it dragged. Like last year also from January to May, the market was down. Likewise, now we have gone beyond that. So that time we thought it's a big downfall, but we went much beyond that, almost 100% beyond that. So now also we have come down. It's a good opportunity now to go to the earlier highs and even more than double. If I say like now currently it's about 6 times the PE or below, and as I told you, we can be re-rated even to 15 to or 20 times. That means more than 200% from here the market can go up. So that means there's still a good opportunity. So if you measure it over a period of time, it's going to give a good return. So in my case also, most of my shares I not sold anything during this time. I've been realized something, but when I say end of January, I didn't like come out of everything. 95% of the shares are still intact. But I know these are good companies that I'm holding, and it's going to give good returns. It'll go beyond the earlier prices that it achieved. So it's just that the country situation that we are faced is not the company's earnings or the company's any issue. So we are buying a company. Share means you're buying a company, a stake of a company, right? So if you are confident about the company, you don't have to worry too much. Still, you will get your dividends. They are still giving good earnings. And suddenly you will see these prices reflecting to the real prices. So that belief you will have to have, and you have to hold on. So that's one. But if you are too much into margins, and if they're going to be margins are gone very high, banks can put pressure. Even now also the market is not allowing to go up because of margin sellings are coming. But if they just can hold on for a few days, every day you can see certain prices are trying to go up, but there's some margin selling and they are depressing the market. So if the forced selling kind of a thing can stall a bit, I'm sure market can, because market is always looking forward, not for the incidents that already happened. That's a discounted. That's why from January, before even we could see things were coming down, they forecasted certain things are going to happen. So now that is almost now stabilizing. Now we are looking for solutions and trying to move forward. So the market will have to start looking at those. There'll be some political solutions coming. IMF program will come, some privatizations will come, cost cutting will come, foreigners will start coming back, ratings can go up. So these are the positives that we'll be looking at to re-rate and go forward. So we are almost in that situation now. So market is almost, we can never time the market to say is this the bottom, and we can never say which is the top. So it's always good to be, when you're comfortable, to start investing. Otherwise you're going to miss out when it's going up also. So I will advise the new investors, you must have a long-term plan. Don't bring your short-term for whatever funds that you're keeping into the market. Always save some money for your bad times and put the additional money. It should be like a period for 5, 10, 15 years. You should look at the market. Then you will grow your portfolio. It's not like any other asset class. You want to buy a property, you need a huge amount of money. But here you can build it in a small ways. And if you want to liquidate also, you can sell quickly, right? And let's say when the last time the market was closed for a few days, and so there was some pressure coming saying that, some small timers can't come out of the market if the market is going to be closed. So that's the reason, so if you want to sell and take some money out also, the market is available. But if you're going to fixed deposit, you're stuck for 1 year, 2 years. You buy a property, now people are not even tested this property market. That's because you don't know the prices of those. You might be thinking it's 10 million worth at the peak. And if you really are in trouble and you want to sell, it's like the stock market. Sometimes you might have to come out at 6 million or 7 million. But you're not worried about that because you don't know the pricing, right? So in stock market, it's on a daily basis. There is a price matching bids and this asking price is there. So that's why it makes it more excitement and also fearful also because of that. But these are temporary. I think I am seeing almost the bottom now. As I said, I'm hopeful. So this is not the time now after market coming down with 40% and shares coming down 50 to 70% to back down now. I think this is the time to double up. So that's my take.
We hope that you learned a lot of valuable insights when investing in the stock market. Mr. Imtiaz, we would like to thank you from the MasterMind team for your valuable time and giving a spare time with us to have a very interesting interview. And especially for the stock market investors, you shared a lot of knowledge and experience with you. So thank you very much for this great opportunity.
Thank you very much, Roshan, and the MasterMind team for giving this opportunity to me. Thank you.
So stay tuned for more valuable videos on MasterMind YouTube channel.